for... It's Car-Boyz! It is indeed. We are live from London. And as if by magic, we're here.
Both appear.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, Simon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
You all right?
Very good, sir. Thank you very much. Yes, in fair battle, despite the increasing cost of petrol and other things that are annoying me, which I shall rant about later on in the program. Hello, one and all. Welcome to another episode of the radio show that couldn't be stopped, now with added pictures. Yes, we're back, despite the cost of fuel being more than liquid gold. More on that later in the show when I have a rant about petrol stations and our Chancellor, Rishi Sunak. Coming up on the program, we've got a great quiz for you. Part 2 of the quiz from the last show to coincide with the rising cost of a barrel of oil. Our quiz is entitled Jumping Jack Gas.
It's a gas.
Yeah, it's a gas. Nothing to do with the song by the oldest band in the world, the Rolling Stones, who, if you didn't know, got their name from the place where they played their first gig. Stonehenge. No, I shall be asking a lucky contestant to answer questions, all right, about the wild world of fuels for cars, from diesel to 4-star, and from unleaded to gasoline. For our American viewers, the grand prize is a half-full jerry can, which I use to fill up my lawnmower. There's still some left in there. Should get you to the supermarket. Also on the show, a roundup of the news in the news, and fresh from a trip to attend the Oscars in Hollywood, a man who looks like a male G.I. Jane. Here's Simon.
Yes, I should slap you for that. That was the most comical slap I've ever seen. It was like,
it was a bit of a bitch slap, wasn't it? It was very open-handed.
And also, when actors pretend like they've been hit, that's what it was like.
Yes, the reaction was a bit.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, thanks, Rich. I was supposed to attend the Academy Awards this year, and sit with Will Smith on his table, but I've got too much hair.
There is a lot going on there, I can see.
Yeah. Coming up on the program this week, we have more exciting driving roads get uncovered in our Lost Highway segment of the show. This week we travel to Fiji and somewhere else where I completely forgot where we're going.
Swaziland.
That's it. Swaziland, yes.
Swaziland.
The country formerly known as Swaziland.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have a classic car in the classic car selection for you. This week, it's this little Japanese motor. It's the Toyota Starlet.
Ooh, nice. Old school. I like the kit on that.
Yes.
Very nice body kit.
So stay tuned for all of that and more. And I'm Simon Sujon in West Philadelphia, born and raised on the playground where I spent most of my days chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool, and all shooting some b-ball outside of the school.
Simon Suju on there, and I hope you haven't got my wife's name in your mouth, because you know how I hate that. My wife's name
Get
in your mouth.
my wife's name
out of your mouth! And I'm Richard Green, and I got in one little fight, and my mom got scared. She said, "Don't hit Chris Rock, because your wife's got no hair." Going to Miami. And this Car-Boyz.
Car-Boyz.
Yes, my wife's got lots of hair.
Yes.
Yeah, strange that. It's time now on the show for my rant, where I have a look at the wild world of motoring and comment on the idiocracy that we as drivers are often presented with. And like Cuba, there'll be no room for debate. This will be a totalitarian dictatorship, comrade. I don't know how to say comrade in Cuban. Comrade. This week I've been pondering the latest budget from Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor, who it was supposed to help drivers by dropping the price of petrol by 6p a litre. Well, guess what? Fuel only dropped by 3p a litre this week. There's some horrific fuel prices from God. Thank God that's nowhere near me. I imagine that's on the motorway. Fuel retailers have been accused of refusing to pass on Chancellor Rishi Sunak's duty cut in full. Mr. Sunak used his spring statement on March the 23rd to reduce fuel duty by 5p a litre, saying that 6 pence per litre of fuel on the impact on that. But the average price of a litre of petrol at the UK forecourts has fallen by just 3.7p. Brent crude has slid down to as low as $115 a barrel. They were trading down at 116 at 9:43 a.m. this morning, GMT. And figures from data firm Experian Catalyst showed the average price per litre of petrol on Sunday was 163 compared to 167.3 on March 22nd. The average price of diesel fell by 2.4 per litre over the same period from 179. Did you ever think you'd hear 179 pence per litre? To 177.3 pence per litre, and in protest, I'm drinking red diesel. Which, it's very nice, but very rural. AA fuel spokesman Luke Bossett said, why are drivers not surprised that an average third of petrol saving has yet to be passed on at the pumps? Well, they were surprised. And he went on to say, fuel traders always disputes the accusation that pump prices shoot up like a rocket and fall like a feather. Now we know the truth. RAC spokesman Rod Dennis said to the Daily Mail, drivers will be disappointed that prices haven't come down further since last week's fuel cut. As duty is charged on wholesale cost of fuel, it's the case that some retailers will be waiting for new deliveries in order to buy fuel at the cheaper rate, meaning drivers have to wait and see the benefit at the pumps. What happens to the oil price and in turn wholesale costs in the coming days will be crucial. If prices rise, there's a risk the fuel duty cut will be cancelled out as retailers face further costs, which I get all that. I get supply and demand. What I don't understand is that if you're the government, you're shaving off 6p per litre in duty. I would have thought that would automatically have had all the oil companies that sell petrol dropping their prices at exactly the same time. Firstly, because it's fuel duty, and secondly, you'll be able to sell more petrol. But no, they want to take more profits, so it's F off to the consumer and let's fleece them for about half of what clueless Sunak had reduced the petrol by. Petrol companies are oligopolies. There ain't many of them. And if they decide en masse to reduce prices, guess what? Prices will go down. So who the hell is in charge of this complete mess? The government are supposed to be ruling the UK. They say taxes down by 6p, then prices should be down by 6p. If they don't, I'd start taking petrol companies to court, surely. I'd start banning certain companies from operating in the UK. And okay, we'll have less petrol, but so what? What we have now is petrol no one can afford. This is a case, I feel, of the tail wagging the dog. I just want him to go and grow a pair. Rishi, can you grow a pair? Get a grip. Try and act like you're in charge of the UK economy for a change and not just a flunky for OPEC. Mind you, let's be honest, his post-parliament career will probably involve him being a board member for BP or Shell. Any thoughts?
Yes. Not that he has to worry about the cost of petrol. But yeah.
No, not really. Being a multi-millionaire, married to a multi-millionaire with houses in the UK and America. And from what I hear, he may own a Golf. He also owns a BMW and a Range Rover.
Yeah, so it doesn't make sense because they said you have to wait for the price to go down because of the cost of buying fuel at the cheaper rate. But that 6p is coming off tax, not the cost of fuel.
Yeah, so it doesn't make any sense. It's like, come on, can we just get this done?
Just profiteering.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I think we're definitely in the realms of profiteering here. It's them saying, well, the fuel companies are saying, well, we didn't make much money, guys, the last year or so because nobody was driving. The last 2 years almost because of coronavirus. So could we have some money back? And this is a way of clawing the money back. Yeah, don't convince me it's any other way. And I'm not calling for some sort of totalitarian, socialist state, but I do think we're at the mercy of major corporations, a bit like the way we were at the mercy of major pharmaceutical corporations. But that's another story, not for this podcast. Shall we have some news?
Let's have some news. And first off, Ian, shall I put crisp and dry into my engine because it's cheap as chips news? See what you did there. Also, I've just seen what I've just seen what the show title is called. It's Frequency of a Radio Station.
It is my old radio station.
A man was spotted refueling his car with a trolley full of cooking oil as drivers struggled with the cost of filling up. And we did not influence this at all whatsoever. Oh, blimey. With fuel prices hitting record highs, the customers were filmed outside Tesco's out in Cheshire this week. In a video, he can be seen at the rear of his car with a trolley load of vegetable oil bottles that he starts to open. One by one, he pours the oil into his vehicle as bemused onlookers watch him. Mark Rainford, who recorded the clip, said, "I filmed it as I walked past him, and he was taking all the tops off the bottles first. That's what made me laugh." Some viewers praised the man for his ingenuity. Using cooking oil as a replacement for fuel can prove extremely risky and cause lasting damages to engines. One man on social media said, "It's going to be a busy night for the AA when everyone tries this in their modern diesel engines. Don't go putting vegetable oil in your car or van unless it's the old type of diesel engine." A local mechanic added, to use veg oil, you would need a heater in the fuel system, and also glycerin in the oil will eventually clog up the fuel system and homogenize the engine lubrication oil. The only way it works is to convert it into biodiesel using toxic and dangerous chemicals. So there you go. There's the guy in Cheshire.
Brilliant.
With his trolley of Mazola.
As we said last week, we did mention this last week, that, I mean, I don't know if you've ever fried some chips.
Yes. All the time.
All the time. You're a man that likes to fry a chip, and then you put it back in the bottle once it's cooled, and it does. Once it's been heated up, it does sort of separate and look pretty grim. And I think that's the problem you're going to find in old engines, really old agricultural engines. I think you find running this stuff. Not so much sure about a modern turbo diesel. Let's not forget, I mean, one of the reasons I've had one diesel, but I'm not a massive fan of them, is because you really need to get the engines hot to burn out all the stuff that built up in the engine over time. So unless you're burning up and down the motorway, small journeys, the fuel filters on diesels always used to get blocked up on cars that only did these little commuting runs. Diesel engines are just, the modern ones don't like it. Although
also
it's
they're computer controlled and everything.
Yes, they're gonna start firing off things like, we don't like this. We don't. I mean, there's a great story from the 1990s when, I think, let me get it right. There was an island off Papua New Guinea. Rio Tinto, the mining company, had a concession there, and I think the company were trying to get independence from PNG. Not the company, the island. I'm trying to remember what it's not called. Frangipan. It's Bougainville. This is it, Bougainville, in the 90s. So they had a rebellion, and they completely cut themselves off from everybody. So for about 3 years, you couldn't go to this island. The UN weren't there. It was a self-governing island. And what they did, which Rio Tinto had left all their
equipment,
Toyotas, so they left all their own equipment and their Toyota Hiluxes, and they mashed down coconuts to produce coconut oil to put in the Hiluxes, and apparently it worked. So you can do it.
It's a Hilux.
It's a Hilux, which will go on forever and ever. Meanwhile, small car sells for big price news. A 1963 P50 Micro car, I believe this one, the world's smallest passenger car, has sold for £111,000 at a British auction. It's the second highest figure ever paid for the dinky three-wheeler, on the record amount of which was previously £122,000 achieved at the Florida auction 6 years ago. The diminutive motor sold last month by online specialist Car and Classic. 1963 car with the registration 745 UNN. It's one of only 46 examples ever to be produced by Peel Engineering, I believe, on the Isle of Man. In the early 1960s, it had just 2 previous keepers from new, according to the paperwork. Around half, 26 in total, are still in existence today, making them highly sought after and collectible. Now, this one was used in May 1963 as a promotional stunt, with the vehicle lifted, I should say, all the way to the top of the Blackpool Tower and subsequently driven around the observation gallery to mark its arrival on the market. Fitted with a puny 46cc single petrol engine, the Peel is capable of a maximum speed of just 38 miles per hour and can return around 100 mpg, thanks to its featherweight 59 kilogram of bulk, of course, minus the driver. Peel Engineering Limited on the Isle of Man launched the P50, designed and built by Cyril Cannell and Henry Kissack at the 1962 Earls Court Motor Show. The vehicle so small it qualified as a motorcycle. There was no reverse gear. The owners were expected to the rear of the car with a grab handle and hand turn it to the desired direction. The future of motoring from the 1960s, made of, I believe, fiberglass, and apparently the cabin filled up with fumes as well, because the little engine was here right by your feet.
With no ventilation. I also think that because until recently I hadn't heard of the Peel P50, but I think Jeremy Clarkson drove one on
on Top Gear.
Top Gear.
Drove it into the old BBC building.
Yeah, so I think that contributed to people knowing what the Peel 50 is.
The wheels are. I had a very small Taiwanese fold-up bike when I lived in Asia, and the wheels were a little bit smaller than that, but not much. And that's the problem. You hit speed bumps now. Cars like this, any sort of low car in London, the speed bumps absolutely knacker you. You can't drive that around. Space-wise, it makes perfect sense. I don't think they're ULEZ compliant either. I'm not sure. I have to look up on that one.
Probably not. Moving on, we have got staying with three-wheeler car news. British car maker Morgan has unveiled its latest model, the Super 3. It's a replacement for the outgoing three-wheeler and aims to take its tripod sports car into a new era. The biggest news is the introduction of a 1.5-litre naturally aspirated three-cylinder Ford engine producing 118 bhp, which is almost 50% more than the V-twin motorcycle power plant its three-wheeler predecessor had. And a new monocoque chassis as well. The Super 3 is on sale from today, and prices for option-free based models start from £42,000.
I know, it's a lot, isn't it?
But there are plenty of options to bump up that price. It was inspired by the cars Morgan first produced way back in 1919 and has been the company's most successful model in terms of sales. More than 2,500 examples have been bought over a 9-year cycle, which isn't bad for a car that produces around 850 vehicles in total each year, which is what Morgan do. The car is powered by a 3-cylinder 1.5-litre petrol engine taken from the Ford assembly line, which used to be in Wales. It might have moved. 118 bhp is sent to the lone rear wheel via belt drive. Oh, bloody, that could be troublesome. According to Morgan, should see the car accelerate from standstill to 62 miles an hour in 7 seconds and a top speed of 130 miles an hour. It will also retain Mazda's brilliant 5-speed transmission, the same one used in the existing MX-5, which will retain the very mechanical clunk between gear changes. The traditional teardrop shape has been kept. Some of it has been exposed engine mechanicals and the outboard spindly front wheels, albeit 20-inch wheels, with an exaggerated positive offset to allow the wishbones to be as long as possible and to improve the cornering stability. Buyers also have the option of ordering a new double windscreen, which can also be requested in a yellow tint, if you should want to, or take the traditional route of having no facial protection whatsoever and wear a pair of goggles. So there you go, 42,000 for a three-wheeler, which
and only available to gingers, it would appear. It's the ginger market they're going for.
Is Tori Amos in there?
Tori Amos and some bloke with a beard, maybe. Ewan McGregor?
Possibly, yeah.
I'm not sure about this bag on the side, but they've got this as well.
Not very secure.
That's going to get, what you do when you pop to the shops and I'm just nipping in to go and get something from the paper shop. And there's my age, the paper shop, the news agents, and you nip in. And,
the tobacconist.
The tobacconist. When you go into when you go in to get a new hat from the hat shop,
yes,
I didn't need to replace my stovepipe hat. And you leave that on the outside. I think there might be some young scallywags that run off with that.
Yes.
It looks very nice. I'm not sure about those side panniers. I think I'd take my old Honda Civic if it rains. So most of the time in the UK, you couldn't really drive this. It's a little impractical, and it's for people that've got, like Tori Amos and Ewan McGregor here, lots of money.
Fantastic.
News agent. I do like that.
News agent.
When did you last buy a paper?
I can't remember.
No, I know. They're expensive these days. And finally, Lotus reveals a new SUV that won't give you coronavirus news.
Ooh.
Yeah, Lotus has unveiled an all-new electric Electra. That's what it's going to be called, which is not only the debut SUV model, but the first car to be built at its state-of-the-art factory in Wuhan, China, the epicenter of the COVID-19 pandemic. British car maker, which has its headquarters in Norfolk, dubbed the world's only electric hyper SUV. That's what they've dubbed this, with prices expected to start at just under £100,000. All have to, when the first deliveries arrive from the China plant in 2023. Lotus says the Electra, I think, which is taken from some Eastern European language and means going forward, promises it will retain the core principles and DNA of the British car maker Lotus, which obviously dates back to 1948 when Colin Chapman said, simplify, then add lightness. The drive system is Lotus's own in-house, with power being sent to all four wheels via two electric motors. They're linked to a high-density battery pack, which will produce in excess of 592 bhp and provide a range of around 373 miles. Lotus said it should be able to accelerate from rest to 60 in less than 3 seconds, a top speed of 161. It will be fitted with a 350 kilowatt charger, which they allege means a 20-minute, if you believe it, charge can add 248 miles of range. Now let's address the sizable elephant in the room, the location of where it's going to be made. Lotus cars have been majority owned 51% by Chinese firm Geely since 2017. Malaysia's Etika Automotive, they own 49% share of the company. Now, last year, the car maker's subsidiary business, Lotus Technology, announced new headquarters and a production facility in Wuhan, the sole purpose of accelerating the electric vehicle innovation. Despite assembly in China, bosses are still eager to flag the brand's original roots. They said the Electra has been born British, raised globally, claiming it's been designed at its creative centre in Warwickshire. Yeah, that's great, isn't it? The Chinese give us a global pandemic, and what do we give them? Jobs and a new car factory. BMW managed to keep their production in Germany, so why can't Lotus do the same? And the other thing that worries me is Lotus, the acronym was lots of trouble, usually serious. And now you're adding in the quality which is Chinese manufacturing.
So the thing is, I'm guessing it's because it's cheaper, because it's classed as a Chinese produced vehicle, so you don't have to pay huge amounts of tax on it. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, doesn't that look like is it the Lamborghini?
Yes, that's what the market they're going for. It looks
so
like the Lambo,
the
Maserati.
Chinese copies.
It's never going to see mud. It does look like a Chinese copy, you are right, of a Lambo. But it's been designed here. I mean, the problem with all this is we can't all be car designers. So when they keep going on about, it's designed in Europe, you go, but and what? Go and get it designed in America. How much does that stimulate the British economy? It doesn't, because you've got a design house that employs 25 people. You put a blooming Lotus plant in a city in the UK, well, that might actually have some effect, because you've got to employ workers, you've got to buy things, you've got to get materials on board. It would boost the whole economy. But just saying the design house is here, I was like, I couldn't give a toss.
So
if the design house is in China and the building is taking place here, I think you're going to find the home of engineering, the UK. I don't give a toss. The Industrial Revolution started here. We know what we're doing. We've been doing it for 400 years.
I'm guessing that there's a guy in Warwickshire sat in his room with a computer. He designed it during lockdown in his bedroom.
And probably, that wouldn't surprise me. And why is it in Warwickshire? Because Coventry University is the best automotive design training centre in the world. And
Largest city
everybody
of
in my
Britain.
family, because that's where my family are from, worked in the motor trade. Both grandfathers, my father, my uncle, I think 4 uncles, various jobs. My mother worked at Dunlop, not making the tyres, but in the offices there. Everybody worked apart from me, and I had to leave because there were no jobs. Yeah, thanks, China.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Go out and buy a Lotus or not. It's not what I would call a Lotus. I'd think of a Lotus 7. Is it time for some classic car selection? I haven't got the music
It
ready.
is time.
You have to bear with me while I queue up the jazz band. I wonder what they're going to surprise us with this week. Let's hopefully it'll be something a bit more. Last week was a bit weird. The one they had last week. Let's give it another go. Randomly, jazz band play. Oh, hang on. Come on, boys.
Give him some more crack.
That's quite nice.
Don't forget, highways coming up, letters coming up.
They've been
quiz
drinking
coming
the
up.
red diesel, I think.
Ooh, no VAT on that.
VAT free. Up yours, Rishi.
It's a classic car selection time and show where this is a section of the show where you won't find a Lamborghini or a Ferrari.
No.
These are ordinary, honest motoring cars that you can turn up somewhere and people go, "Hey, what's that?"
Yes.
And this week is no exception. This week's classic car is a subcompact manufactured by Toyota from 1973 until 1999. It is the Toyota Starlet, but more importantly, it's a Toyota Starlet. That's the ordinary one. This is the Glanza version.
Glanza? Did you have to have large glands to buy it?
It sounds like Mario Lanza, but it's Glanza. The Starlet was the first subcompact car that was from a Japanese automaker to offer a high-performance variant, and that is the Glanza, the model we are concentrating for today. These were available in 3 generations, but we're looking at the 1996 model style one, which is like this white one here. There we go. Yes, look at that. The Starlet Glanza is the sports version of the 3rd generation P90 Starlet, that was the code name of it, and is its successor to the 80 series, the naturally aspirated Starlet 1.3 GI, not GI Jane. The Glanza came in 2 versions.
No, what's name out of your mouth?
It came in 2 versions, the S, which was powered by a naturally aspirated 1.3 or 1331cc 4-cylinder engine generating 85 bhp, but the Glanza V was powered by the turbocharged version producing 140 bhp. 140. The Glanza S and the Glanza V were officially available in the Japanese market, although some used private imports and they made their way into the UK, New Zealand, and many other right-hand drive territories. Performance-wise, these cars were extremely light, so the turbo version of the Glanza V had a respectable 0 to 100k time of 8.2 seconds, so not too bad. As with most cars of the 90s, these vehicles were fitted with a fully blown body kit. Here's a blue one. Look at the body kit on that.
Ooh. Yes. Oh, I'm not sure about that. That's a big max power, isn't it?
It was the 90s.
Yes.
It came with alloy wheels and levels equipment were good. They often came with electric windows, airbag, ABS, and air conditioning too. What do you look for? Well, these engines were good because they were Japanese, and the whole car is Japanese. But this also means that lots of people provide parts and modifications. However, we always say, stay clear of any overly modified enthusiast vehicles. As with most cars, check for the usual oil leaks in around the engine. These cars are usually mechanically sound because they are Japanese, and they have been, the cars certainly in this country have been imported from there. Prices start from around £3,000, but I have found this version. It is a Turbo S version with 69,000 miles on the clock.
Nice number.
In 69k on the clock up in Warwickshire. Again, up in Warwickshire. You can have this for a smidge under £5 under, which wouldn't even buy you a gallon of petrol these days.
No.
5,995. So there you go. Something different. A little tiny Toyota Starlet Glanza. Mario Lanza.
You were probably a little bit too young. Mid-90s, all my mates, it was either Escorts or Peugeot 206 hot hatches.
Yeah.
Lots of Golfs. I think one guy had one of those, but they're very
Okay.
rare cars.
Yeah. There are available. There are. That said, they were imported here. My generation, so leaving university would have been Citroen Saxos.
Mm.
Yeah.
A little bit later,
Peugeot.
late 90s, early
Yeah.
noughties, yeah.
Yeah. Those would have been the hot hatches of my generation of when I would have been able to able to
Mm.
drive. So there you go, something different, a
Good
little
looking
hot hatch
car.
from
Well
Japan.
done, you. If you want to get your suggestions onto the Tinterweb with us and suggest a classic car for our classic car selection, it's dead easy. You just write to us. Email Car-Boy. Don't use the mail because I'm not giving you my address. That's creepy. You can email the boys though at car-boys@outlook.com, Facebook car-boys, always with a Z, at Car-Boys with 4 Zs, Twitter car-boys with a Z, at car_boys, Instagram. There we go. Yep, nearly there. At car_boys with 3 Zs. Time to take to the open road. Put my false teeth back in because it's the Lost Highways. I'm only playing this to try and get the Rust Belt viewers in from the Midwest. They like this sort of music. They can sing along. Oh, well, maybe they can't. That's it.
Oh,
there you go.
that was pretty short.
Okay, now that's enough of that. Yes, it's over to you, I should say.
It is. Regulars to the show will know that this is our feature where viewers emails in. By the way, I did bump into someone this week who was asking about our YouTube channel.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it was just random. I'll tell you after. I'll tell you
Nice.
after.
Nice.
After
Okay,
the
fair enough.
after the show. But this is where they email us in and give us their favourite roads and reasons why they love them. It could be quite a coastal road that leads down to sea. Alternatively, it can be a straight two-lane blacktop that leads to infinity and invites you to go the pedal to the metal. Whatever your boys and there's legendary perfect driver here on Car-Boyz. Rewind the show if you want to know where all the details were. There it goes. First in the Car-Boyz inbox this week is With Now, who says this may be a first for you on Car-Boyz, as my great driving road is in the kingdom of Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland, Eswatini, as well as being the birthplace of actor Richard E. Grant, who I've met in a queue in
Really?
Marks and Spencer's.
What was he like? Was he nice?
He was all right, but he was complaining about the queue was too long.
Was he buying pants?
I don't know.
Pants and a prawn sandwich. That's usual Marks and Spencer's, isn't it?
Eswatini is also known for nature reserves, but while driving a while on the roads, he was surprised how good the road conditions were with only a few potholes. The next thing he noticed was the breathtaking landscape, as it was all colours of green and yellow, very hilly, and some beautiful lakes took their breath away. He took to the main road leading out of South Africa, the MR8. He said he saw many people standing and walking along the roads with colourful dresses. As much as it was good to see locals of Swaziland, he was also sad that how dangerous it is for them to walk on the roads without proper pavements and children playing along with toys along the road. That's not very good.
Yes. Friend of mine's father worked in Kenya, Zimbabwe, and I believe South Africa in the 1970s.
Okay.
And road deaths from pedestrians happen all the time. Really.
Wow.
So you got that guy walking along there. They're a massive problem. This was back in the 1970s and 80s, but yeah, you said it was a massive problem. Just people just walk in front of cars all the time. Yeah. So that's a bit of a shame. Looks like a pretty good. And who was that from? That was from Withnail. Nice. I wonder if he smoked a Camberwell carrot before he drove. Hopefully he didn't. What a great character that is. Yeah, if you've ever seen Withnail and I, good film. Seen it? Yeah, I enjoyed it. I like it when they're drinking lighter fluid just to stay warm. It reminds me of my student days. And finally, we're back once again with Renegade Master. The Renegade Master, default damager, power to the people. He gets in, see, you can tell I worked at local radio in the late 1990s. He gets in touch and says, "Dear Car-Boyz, you always claim that the highways are somewhere exotic. Feature this road. It's genuinely exotic. It's in Fiji. On a Fiji road trip, you'll discover waterfalls, trails, roadside markets selling piles of tropical fruit, floral bouquets, villages with impeccable gardens, sandy beaches to snorkel and dive sites with untouched corals. I
Oh.
think that my nan had a friend called Coral. She definitely wasn't touched. Might just be a bit touched in the brain. The main road out of Nadi, where the airport is Suva, the capital, and it's called the Queen's Road. It's 118 miles long. When driving in Fiji, stick to traveling during the daytime, as the streets outside the main towns tend to be poorly lit. Go slow and keep a lookout for potholes, pedestrians, and animals, all of which make an appearance on the roads. He suggests using a rental car for the trip. Yeah, I wouldn't drive there. I was going to drive to Fiji. I've got a problem with that idea. Unless you've got Roger Moore's Lotus, then you might be able to get that.
Come out of the sea.
Yeah, come out of the sea. What does he say? He suggests using a rental car. To hire a car, you'll need a valid driver's license written in English or an international driver's permit. Question: do they drive on the left hand or the right hand side in Fiji? I imagine it's the left hand because they are members of the Commonwealth and they observe the authority of the Queen. Unlike Jamaica, Barbados has disappeared as well, which is I don't know why. It's very strange because my other half has worked with them, with the Commonwealth, and she said everybody wants to join. It's not like there's loads of places now in the Commonwealth, like Cameroon. Cameroon was a German colony. It's nothing to do with the British Empire. And they're like, oh no, this is a great trade organization we want to be a part of. And big countries like Barbados, which is what the size of Acton, it's about like 23 square miles. We're going to leave. Nobody cares. Bye. Bye. See ya. We don't give a shit. Why would I give a shit whether Acton left the UK? Nobody cares. You're making a big deal of it because of imperialism. Yeah, lots of nasty things, but you could be part of an economic group of people that help make your country, but you don't want to, so bye-bye. Off you go. Very, very strange state of affairs. Time now to delve into the bulging sack, known locally as the Mailbag. Letterbollocks.
Alex in Southampton says,
Hi,
all right, Car-Boyz. She, not he, she has a problem with her windscreen steaming up. Oh, I bet she has. Steaming up all the time. She wants to know,
your wife's name out of your mouth.
Out of my mouth.
My wife. My wife.
Take my wife out of your mouth.
No, he says that when he's in the bedroom, because obviously they like to swing a little bit, don't they? That's what I always do. I always assault somebody that makes a little casual joke about what my wife looks like. But the bloke that's doing it while I'm watching that, that's fine. Go ahead, mate. I'm just going to go and put the kettle on. Do you want one? Yeah, all right, mate. Yeah, thanks for that.
Alex wants to know, what could you do to stop her windows from steaming up?
Stop doing what you're doing in the car. I've got 2 footprints as well on the windscreen. It's a nightmare. Any ideas?
There used to be a product that you could coat your windows in. I don't know if they still do it.
Invisible glass.
That's the one. Yeah.
Apparently, this is supposed to help anti-fogging, not anti-dogging. It doesn't stop that at all. Right. So we got the base. So she says, because we're in this changeable season now, so it's getting a bit milder. I've noticed this for years with people in cars, and it's always minicab drivers. I don't know why. They don't seem to know how aircon works and how your air filtration system in the car works. So I'm always driving along with minicab drivers, and their windows are completely steamed up, and they're winding down the side window. Right. Firstly, make sure you're taking air into the cabin from the outside, not recirculating the same air that's full of your breath. Also, the reason you don't want to do that is if you're doing a long journey on a motorway, you will start to feel sleepy because you're recirculating carbon dioxide. The aircon blower also needs to be directed toward the windscreen, not the vents or your feet. I also have, in really bad conditions, a chamois leather, a chamois. It's a chamois leather sponge, and I just go like that to clear it. I've got a friend of mine who's got a very expensive Porsche. He has an electric Karcher window cleaner, and he sucks up all the moisture, which is very cool. I can't afford one of those. The anti-fog liquid could, I don't know whether this works.
It does work for a short time.
Okay, then you've got to reapply it.
And then you've got to keep reapplying it. So I've used that a long time ago. There are some stuff I don't know whether they do work, but you get them and you put them in your microwave and then you put them in. I don't know if they work.
The other thing is, if you've got somewhere, and I do say this about frosted up windows, if you've got somewhere that's secure, say you live in the countryside, or you've got like your car is parked around the back of your house, not at the front or on the driveway or on the road, start the car up 10 minutes before you want to leave. And just turn on the blowers, and when you come to get in the car, it'll be fantastic. Do you remember the days? I had a Ford once that had the heated front windscreen.
Yeah. That'll do it. That'll do it.
That was very cool.
The other thing we would say is also what the air conditioning does. It dries the air, so that makes the condensation disappear. So if you stick the air conditioning on for a couple of minutes, that should get rid of it.
I mean, I don't run. Another bit of advice. Every time I get in my car, I've had air conditioning on the 1, 2, 3. No, the last 3 cars I've had have aircon. I put the air conditioning on when I get in the car.
Yeah.
The moment I get in, because the more you use it, I know it uses up fuel, but if you don't use it, it breaks.
Yes, and bacteria grows in it if you don't use it as well.
Yes,
so,
and then it stings. Although a good cure for that is Zora Flora.
She's a newsreader, isn't she?
Yes, she is. She's an Iranian newsreader I've worked with recently. No, Zora Flora is it's a thing for cleaning. If you can.
It's like disinfectant.
It's a disinfectant, but it smells really nice. I've used it before in my washer bottle when the washer bottle's got all mold in. Put a cap full of Zora Flora in every other year, and that tends to kill off all the bacteria. And you do get it in particular in your screen wash because there's sugar in there.
Right. Okay. I might try that.
Yeah. It does. It smells very nice. Meanwhile, David in devices. So yes, that's why it's called Zora Flora. Over to sports now with Zora Flora from Manchester. Meanwhile, David in devices says, "Hello, Car-Boyz. I love the show. He's thinking of selling his, 2006 Toyota Corolla. Let me get it right. There it is. There's a 1.6 VVT manual. It's only got 28 on the clock. Very good condition. He reckons he could get around £3,000 for it. He's got his eye on a new Kia Sportage. What do we think?" So let's get it right. He's got 28,000 on the clock. So
yeah,
I imagine
not even
you don't do too much mileage. No. So if you're in devices, I imagine you're not near any ULEZ area. You're not near a big city in the UK. Yeah. I think the Kia Sportage is a nice new car, very nice motor. It's pretty good. Car prices right now are at the highest they have been for years.
Yeah.
My advice is you may get a lot for this, but you will lose thousands in depreciation in the next 12 months. I would drive this for 12 months before I bought or sold any other car. I'd live with it for another 12 months and wait and see what happens, because I reckon in 12 months' time, manufacturing will be back up. You might get yourself a bargain, and you're going to lose £1,000. So you're going to gain £3,000 if you can get 3 for it. Then you're automatically going to lose £1,000 off your new car, at least in the first 12 months.
There's one, speaking of hybrids and electric vehicles, there's one radio presenter who shall remain nameless, but he was thinking of getting an electric vehicle.
Yes.
I think he went to his VW showroom and they said, "Oh, yeah, you can have one of those, but the waiting time, delivery time is 46 weeks.
46 weeks?
First of all, he said, "What, 4 to 6 weeks? Oh, that's not bad. I can get it once I come back from holiday." But no, 46 weeks. Waiting
that's
time.
Effectively a year.
Yeah.
I'd stay with this.
Yeah.
David, I wouldn't.
It's Japanese. It won't go wrong.
It'll just keep going and going. It might not be the greatest thing to show off down the golf club, but who cares? Stephen in Merseyside. Oh, sorry, this is you.
Oh, Stephen in Merseyside. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And he said, "Right, lads."
No, he's saying, "All right, la. All right, la."
All right, la.
That's what they say, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah. All right there, la. Hey.
Calm down. Which I believe is that's hello. Is it?
Scouse. Yeah, I like that, la. Well, la is sort of hello. It's like all right, mate. but for people.
Pal. He has an old 2005 Mercedes S320 CDI Auto Saloon. Oh, huge Mercedes. He said it's a great car, but on all of the alloys he thinks is leaking air.
No, no,
It's
that's
just
typo. It's one of the alloys.
Oh, he thinks one of
Yeah.
one of the alloys is leaking air. He's just had a new set of tyres. The one he thinks is starting to deflate. Could it be the alloy wheel, or should he buy a new one? Interesting.
Yes.
I would have thought it would have had like tyre pressure warnings on there anyway.
Yeah, or maybe it is an old car, so maybe he's disabled that. If you've got a new set of tyres and one of them is deflating, then I'd imagine it's the alloy. So over time, alloys get porous. You can get holes in them. They can crack.
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy a new one because that's going to cost you a few £100s. I'd have a look online. Places like eBay, scrap dealers now on eBay selling lots of used parts, even with a guarantee. I reckon you could get a good one between £50 and £100. Get your tyre guy to fit the tyre to the new one. Put the old one in the garage and forget about it. And then if you do crack one of your wheels, at least you've got one to get you back on the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a look on eBay first before you start. Because, it's a 2005? It's a 17-year-old car. It's probably worth £3,500 on a good day.
Depreciation's all gone.
Yeah, so just try and keep it on the road. I do with one of my, well, actually with both of them now, because one of them's 9 years old. The other car is 18 years old, and I just buy secondhand used parts and put them on.
Yeah, keeps going. There you go. We always recommend that.
And just finally, we have Antonia in La Rochelle, France.
Oh,
need some accordion music. She's a proud owner of a Citroen 2CV.
Yes.
Which she drives once or twice a week to go shopping. It's a bit old. She'd like to upgrade. Well, yes, there's baguettes sticking outside. She'd like to upgrade to a newer French car that's reliable with a bigger engine. What do you suggest? She's got just over €3,000 to spend. Firstly, we'd suggest not a French car, because they've made some terrible cars over the past 2 decades, many of which are poor quality and terrible reliability. That being said, if she's a woman who likes a quirky car, how about something equally as weird as the 2CV? How about this? A 2006 Renault Kangoo. They're sort of a utility car, not unlike the 2CV. Found this one for sale. Diesel 1.9. Full service history, only 68 on the clock, very good condition, more reliable than the 2CV, more comfortable than the 2CV. You will be able to go from La Rochelle to Bordeaux. You'll probably be able to go all the way to Paris, all the way to the south of France in this. And it's for sale at only 3,200.
Ooh, that's quite good.
I'm not a big fan of French cars, but you are in France and...
Might as well.
Yeah, parts are going to be slightly cheaper. It's a funky. It's basically a van, the Kangoo, but you can sort of treat it like crap and then get another one in 10 years.
And you can put lots of wine and baguettes in the back and onions,
which is what basically you have to do when you wear your Breton shirt and your beret and drive around France. Thank you very much for that. Usual address. If you want to get in touch with the letter bollocks, email the Car-Boyz at car-boysoutlook.com, Facebook car-boys at Car-Boyz with 4 Zs, Twitter us car-boys at car_boys, always with a Z. Instagram at car_boys with 3 Zs. It's time to get funky, and it's game show time now on the show. I don't like that. Should we go back to
it comes from a seaside town?
Yeah, it's a bit. Let's try that. Oh, here we go.
Sounds like something Peter Simon would post.
Oh, the old Henry Kelly. Hello, yes, well, thank you. Welcome one and all to this part of the show. We'd like to call competition time, for it is competition time. This week's competition continues our petrol-themed show from last week. It's Jumping Jack Gas, and it's all about the stuff we put into cars. And I'm not talking about old McDonald's wrappers or prostitutes? No, it's all about the fuel that gets us from A to B. Depends on how you go. It's part 2 of the competition we had on the show last week. More fuel for the fire. Do you like what I did there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough. As we know these days, petrol is worth almost its own weight in gold. But how much do you know about diesel, unleaded, gasoline, and in the case of Tesla, electricity?
Ooh.
Up for grabs this week is this. Half a can of fuel I used to fill my lawnmower. I think they should get you to the supermarket and back, although it's got that stuff in that stops it going gloopy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's still good. The lawnmower was working this morning, so it's all good.
Fantastic.
Joining me this week for the quiz and fresh from a tour of the highways and byways of the UK is our man in North London, Simon. Are you ready for the quiz?
I am. Hopefully, I'll get the petrol. It's a scarce commodity.
It is, and I think you should be get from Enfield to probably Edmonton with that much.
Yeah.
And in the words of Jim Bowen, super smashing great. Here we go. I'll begin. Most cars drive on gasoline or petrol, as we call it here in the UK. But what's the octane level for E10, the new unleaded? It's the new unleaded petrol introduced earlier this year, and we like to call it weasel piss. Is it A, 95 RON? Is it B, 85 RON? Or is it C, do ron ron?
Do ron ron.
The last Saturday night.
The last time I knew in the UK, I think it was 95 RON.
You are correct. Well done. E10 means 95 octane. Fuel sold on forecourts will now be required to contain up to 10% of bioethanol in its mixture. And talking of Ron, here's a picture of 2 Rons. Yay!
The two Ron
Rons. Yay! Brilliant. 50 years old this year.
Really?
The 2 Ronners, yes. Both of them.
Wow.
Many people who are cheapskates and like to see black smoke coming out of the back of their cars drive diesels. But which manufacturer produced the first mass-produced diesel passenger car? Was it A, Mercedes in 1936 with their model 260D? Was it Peugeot in 1938 with their model Le Grand Caca? Or was it C, Austin Rover in 1976 with their Allegro Smoky?
Oh, I would like it to be B, but I think it's A, the Mercedes diesel.
I forgot you could speak French. Correct. Yeah. It's Mercedes D, 1936, their model 260D. But weirdly, this was like, I think nearly 30 years after they came out with diesel cars.
Okay.
So there we go. Oh, hang on. Right. Let me get the right question. Right, we've had a little problem because I've stapled. Now I've stapled everything together incorrectly.
When quizzes go wrong.
It is.
When quizzes go bad.
Right, it is a bit when that. Hang on. Let me get my thing over here, as the actress said to the bishop. Hey. Right. Oh no, not there. Is this? Oh no. Right. Bear with me a moment. We're getting there slowly.
Fancy you are with 2 screens.
I know. Let me reduce. What's this one? Is this one it? Yeah. I can't believe I've done this. I think I've thrown away the bit I was supposed to answer the questions. And my memory is good, Simon, but it's not that good. Well, we're up to question 3.
Question 3, yes.
Question 3, continuing our jumping jack flash gas quiz. What is currently the world's most fuel-efficient production car?
Fuel-efficient production car?
Is it A, the Volkswagen XI1? Is it B, the Honda Insight? Or is it C, the 1979 Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow, once owned by Jimmy Tarbuck and Jimmy Savile?
Hey, boom, boom. Is it not the Insight? Is it the first one? Is it A?
It's the Volkswagen. Yeah. Well done. The Volkswagen XL, not XI. I do apologise.
I've never seen one of those.
Well, exactly. I have never heard of this car. This must have passed me by. The Volkswagen XL1 VW 1 litre is a 2-person limited production diesel-powered plug-in hybrid produced by Volkswagen. The XLI1 was designed to be able to travel on 100 kilometres on 1 litre of diesel. Now, it was produced in 2013, almost a decade ago. Why aren't we all driving these?
I've
They
never
reckon it
seen
could
that
do
before, ever.
240 miles to the gallon. It was a
Wow.
diesel with a little hybrid engine in the back.
Yeah.
And we are
I've
not
never seen
driving
that.
these cars. Nope. They produced, yeah, as I said, it is a production car. They only produced a few of them, limited production on that. But yeah, that's what we should be driving.
Yes.
But oil companies won't like it. Now, according to the RAC, we use a lot of petrol and diesel to get around the UK. But how many litres of petrol do we actually use? Is that petrol and diesel? So it's petrol and diesel. Petrol and diesel. Don't worry, you're always safe. Is it A, 10 billion litres? Is it B, 26 billion litres? Or is it C, 38 billion litres? 10 billion, 26 billion, or 38 billion litres? And if you're American and you want to know what that is in gallon, well, off you go and work it out.
I'm going to take a guess at this. I'm going to go for the highest. I'm going to have 38 billion.
You are correct. Once again,
Yay.
the UK consumes 38 billion litres of diesel and petrol, equivalent to a cost of around 70 billion pounds, of which the government take 50 billion in tax.
Yes.
Remind yourself the next time you hit a pothole in the road. You know it's not going on the roads. Question 5.
You get taxed and you get taxed again.
Yeah, taxed and taxed again. Bend over. Here comes the government. Now, which type of natural disaster has caused some of the worst gasoline shortages in American history? Which type of natural disaster caused some of the worst gasoline shortages in US history? Was it A, a hurricane? Was it B, a flood? Or was it C, an earthquake?
Oh,
It
hurricane
happened
flood, hurricane flood or
about
earthquake?
10 years ago, if that helps.
Hurricane flood or I'm going to guess at hurricane flood or earthquake. Hurricane flood or earthquake. I'm going to go for hurricane.
Well done, you are correct.
Yay.
Hurricane Sandy heavily hit populated areas of New York City on November the 29th, 2012. The devastating storm caused a severe gasoline shortage that the United States had not experienced since the 1970s. The storm damaged oil refineries and significantly increased risks of fuel contamination and poisoning. And here's another Sandy that caused a hurricane in 1976.
Oh, Sandy.
Tell me about it, stud. Is she still alive, Olivia Newton-Bomb?
Yeah, I think she is, yeah. Yeah.
There you go. Sandy. Right, halfway through our quiz, Jumping Jack Gas, nothing to do with the Rolling Stones, although we're not sure if the remaining members of that band will live to see the end of this quiz. We've probably got another 2 minutes or so. Question 6.
Fossil fuel.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are fossils.
Fossils.
Mick Jagger, if you shoved him in a steam engine, it'd go straight up. Question 6. Which element helps petrol burn better? Which element helps petrol burn better? Is it carbon, sulfur, or oxygen?
Carbon, it produces carbon. Sulfur, I think it produces oxygen. Oxygen
Is
surely
it true?
It's
oil. You are correct. Oil refineries use ethanol and methyl tertiary butyl ether, MTBE. It sounds like a Korean a pop group.
Channel.
To welcome, you're listening to MTBE to oxygenate conventional gasoline. There you go. That's what they do. So it was oxygen. Well done. So 6 on 6, going strong. Now, which of these diseases is not related to the burning of gasoline via cars and cities? Is it A, asthma? Is it B, heart disease? Or is it C, COVID-19 or the Wu flu?
Oh, it's got to be Wu flu.
Yes, sulfur-containing fuels burned by diesel engines emit sulfur dioxide, which narrows air passages and causes respiratory problems, whereas the Wu flu was caused by bats from Chinese experimental laboratories carrying out gain-of-function experiments funded by Americans. Allegedly. Got out of that one. Question 8. Can you identify which natural crop is used for biodiesel? Is it corn, is it potatoes, or is it bananas?
Corn, potato, or bananas? Corn, potato. Oh, that's interesting. I would have thought it would be. I don't think it's potato. Definitely not banana. I'd say corn.
Correct. According to the US Department of Agriculture, the portion of yearly corn crop designated to biodiesel fuels has more than tripled to 5.2 2 to 3 billion bushels.
Of
And as
course
we
they have.
know, bananas don't help fuel a car. They can actually stop it, especially when shoved up into a tailpipe.
Hey, look at it. Hey, get in the car.
You honking motherfucker. Great film. Anybody under the age of 35 is going, why are you showing a black man shoving a banana into... Eddie Murphy, of course, in
Great
Beverly Hills
scene.
Cop. Now, who invented petrol or gasoline? Question 9. You're on 8 out of 8 so far.
Oh.
Your money is safe. Who invented petrol or gasoline? Was it A, Stephen Texaco? Was it B, Alan Shell? Or was it C, Edward Butler?
Edward Butler, surely. Not Mr.
Correct.
Texaco.
1884, British engineer Edward Butler constructed the
So it was
first...
a British invention as well.
A British invention. That's where we should build British cars, in Britain, where
Exactly.
we've got lots of engineers. Edward Butler constructed the first petrol gasoline internal combustion engine in 1884. Butler invented the spark plug, ignition magneto, coil ignition, and spray jet carburetor, and was the first to use the word petrol. What a genius.
Cool.
Yeah. Have a statue to him outside the production factories.
Can't do
Every
that.
single
Can't have statues of people anymore.
Oh no, that's true.
Not allowed to. Yeah.
You might have been a bit racist. You might have said something nasty about somebody's hair. Can't be doing that. Take that gasoline out of your mouth now.
Yep.
And finally, one last question, and we're going to be very current.
For the full house.
Full house. What is the price of the most expensive petrol per litre in the UK this week? What's the price of the most expensive petrol per litre in the UK this week? Is it A, £1.95? Is it B, £2.05? Or is it C, £2.19.5 pence? 195, 205, £2, effectively £2.20.
Oh, I don't think anyone could ever do it for £2.20. So it's, I think I did. I'm sure I heard someone say £2.5. £2.5.
You nearly got there.
Oh, that's the last
fuel station at Chelsea Cloisters. We can tell you live in Enfield.
Yeah.
Chelsea Cloisters service station in London. The Gulf there shows drivers are being charged £2.19.5 per litre to top up. And here's the type of people that fill up there. Hello. I've got a Range Rover.
Nice but dim.
Yeah, well, the good thing is it proves that you're not part of the country set. You're not a yuppie, and that's pretty alien to you. And but don't worry, you will be winning this half.
Yes,
it's got that Haynes additive in, so I'm sure it'll be fine in your car. And it hasn't, because I forgot to put it in one year, and my lawnmower ended up screwed after a couple of mows because petrol after 6 months starts to get a bit sticky. Yes, it separates and it gunks everything up, a bit like if you pour Mazzola into the engine of your diesel car. Not advisable. That's about it from us this week. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. You know the usual address for the letters page, which is, if you bear with me a second there, how's about that then? I really do need to get some technical equipment would allow me to do this, but money's tight, and so am I, as my wife always reminds me. That's it from the show. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'll be back next time. I've got a busy weekend, so it might be a while. I'm going away to the seaside.
Ooh, nice.
I'll tell you about it later on when we're off there. Take care. See you next time on Car-Boyz.